Hello, welcome to Access Paranormal's show. You know who I am. Sadly, Jonathan's not here. Marie's not here. As I said before, it's time for the schools to be off. Grandkids are around and everything else. So it's just me. I've been thrown in at the deep end on my own. But I'm not on my own. I'm with somebody who I was watching on TikTok. And it was fantastic. And I said to Jonathan, I've got to get hold of this lady. And it's Mackenzie. Now, you can probably see Mackenzie on the screen now. So Mackenzie from Shadows of York Guide, is that
Hello.
right? Tour guide. That's correct,
That's
isn't
right.
it?
Yeah, tour
Yeah,
guide. Absolutely. Yeah, yeah.
yeah. And as I said before, Mackenzie, I saw you, and I was fascinated the way you done your story to camera, and I just had to talk to you. I just thought, no, we've got to get her on the show. It's fantastic, and it's great for you. Hopefully, it's great for you as well, because I think you should be out there a bit more as well.
Thank you. Well, we do some TikToks with myself and my other guy, Dan. I've recently hired a new guy, Josh. But
Mm-hmm.
we do a lot of the live videos on Facebook. Or we mostly did them during lockdown. But
Yeah,
occasionally, every now and again, I'll go out just to sort of say, still here, but we're obviously busy with the real tours
yeah.
now. So, yeah, if you want to come and see us, please do.
Oh no! Well, like I said, I watched the video of you, and it got me hooked straight away. I actually ended up following your TikTok because I thought it was fascinating. Yeah. Now, the Shadows of York, obviously, you do paranormal stuff. You tell the ghost stories and things like that. Tell us how you came about, how Shadows of York came about.
By pure accident, basically about 2012, that's it, 2012, I started working for another gentleman who ran a ghost walk in York. That's since
Mhm.
slightly closed, but after a while, I thought, because I was getting messed about quite a lot with, bookings, and it just wasn't very well organized. And
Mhm.
then I found that they were good stories, but the history was completely wrong, and I really like my history. And in the end, I just thought, you know what, I could do this myself and probably do it better. So I did. And I started in 2015 with my own tour. It used to just be private bookings only, and then I branched out to do more what we call the public walk, so
Mhm.
anybody can book on in 2019, and that basically grew. But it really grew as a result of doing the videos during lockdown and getting your name out there and stuff. And then we've obviously come through all that now, and been doing some lovely tours ever since. And yeah,
Yeah.
um, it's just carried on from there, really.
But when you started in 2015, no one in a million years knew that they were going to end up with a massive lockdown.
No,
So you've had to actually start your business, then adjust it for lockdown. So you've had to go from doing the tours to doing
mm.
them online. So did you actually go out and about yourself and record them live for the people at home?
Yeah, they were free to watch. Obviously, people could donate if they wanted to, which was very kind of them. Literally the only income that I had, because we
Mhm.
didn't get any furlough. I did used to work with a museum in York, but sadly got laid off from that because of the pandemic, and yeah, we weren't getting anything from the government, and same was for a lot of other tour guides and actors and
Mhm.
actresses and things. But yeah, so what I did was I just went, and it used to just be me at the time. There was no other people working for me.
Mhm.
I just used to go out with my phone and walk around the city and tell the stories. And then once I'd done that, I thought, right, well, people don't want to hear the same thing every other week or whatever. So I best start learning. So I ended up spending all my time, my free time, reading books, anything I could find archive wise online. And then I started talking about anything from executions to witchcraft to anything that I could think of, and just walked around the city in different areas, telling all these stories and bits of history, which people loved, and I enjoyed it
Mhm.
because it was my connection to the outside world. And bizarrely, afterwards, people were coming to York, and they were recognizing me in the street, and I felt like a mini celebrity.
Good for advertisement though.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So how did it feel? I mean, obviously, when we were talking about the little lockdown there, well, it wasn't exactly little, was it? It was a big thing. How did it feel walking around York on your own? I mean, obviously, there must have been the odd person who was there as well, but it must have been
Yeah.
strange because it's, you know, it was what that time of year. I found it very difficult being in lockdown because I like people, I like talking, as you can tell by now. So you know, it must have been weird to be there on your own and not have a crowd to entertain it, and you've got to
Yeah.
try and entertain it through a phone or whatever you were using at the time.
It was hauntingly empty. It was
Mm.
very dead, excuse the pun, but in a way, it felt great. You know, there was no one to bother you. I felt really safe.
Mm.
I actually, when I go out to do any lives today, I find it very difficult because there's so many people, and people like to get involved and swear or
Mm.
be difficult. But during lockdown, it was amazing. And, you know, if you ever wanted to get a photograph of the buildings with no one around, it was fabulous, you know,
Yeah,
you know, it felt strange, but because I was talking to people online, I suppose I didn't feel very alone. But yes, it was very odd to walk around the place as empty as it
mm.
was, and it was just, as much as it wasn't very nice, at the same time, it was quite peaceful. And one part of me thought, you know what, this isn't going to last forever. Not that you want it to last forever. Embrace it. So I actually
Yeah,
embraced,
yeah.
able to enjoy walking around my city without crashing into people and dodging
Mm.
folk. And you know, it was quite nice actually, even though it's surreal as it was.
Well, I mean, I tried it because I mean, I was a key holder in a place called Mill Street Barracks, and I
Mhm.
had to go in there and check. I don't know whether you've heard of Mill Street Barracks. It's a very haunted location, and I had to go in there on my own in lockdown and check the building out.
Gosh.
So I started like talking to me. I took a recorder with me and started talking just to keep that company.
Mm,
It's a very surreal thing to, you know, you talk. I was recording it because I wanted to put it on the radio, so I thought, well, this is a good opportunity to record it, but also gives you that bit of comfort as well because you're not on your own. You're talking to someone, even if it's yourself.
yeah.
And it's a strange feeling. So it must have been strange for you to walk around talking to something, but not knowing who was at the other end of it. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah, it was very surreal. I mean, it was nice if people commented. Not that you could always read them because, you know, phones and things and stuff, but
Yeah.
it was nice. And yeah, it was, as you say, very strange just walking around talking to yourself and looking at a
Yeah.
handheld device telling a story. And all the while looking around going, okay, yeah, is anybody about? Don't fall over. Is this still working? Is it still recording? Uh, but also, in a strange sort of way, you thought to yourself, if I see a ghost, I am completely alone. And that's going to
Uh,
be quite creepy as well.
would have been a good story though as well, wouldn't it? That. Yeah.
Sorry, yeah.
So I'm going to ask you to tell us about yourself and how you got into into these storytelling things. I know you're an actress.
Yes. Yeah.
I've had a little peek of your website. And tell us a little bit about yourself, or as much as you want about yourself. Tell us about Dan and let me have a look, Josh, and how they got into the team and things like that. Because it you seem like a good three-way connection, if you get what I mean. I nearly said something else, but it wouldn't have sounded right. But
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
So basically, my heart does lie within the theatre,
Mhm.
and anything like that. But funny enough, it is exactly let me think, 9 years ago yesterday that a shop that used to be called Haunted in York,
Mhm.
number 35 Stonegate, closed its doors for the last time, and it had a ghost hunt. And I went to that. My friend, who was the manager at the time of the shop, and the lady who organised the ghost hunt, she invited me along. So I did that, but also weirdly, exactly 13, no, 12 years, that's it, exactly 12 years ago, yesterday, I did my first ever scare attraction, and it was at that very same house. And I got into that by accident. Basically, I used to work at the National Railway Museum in York,
All right.
in the catering department. I have a big catering background as well because in between acting jobs and stuff, you have to work, and sadly, you got to keep on doing a juggling game. You know, you play and do these other jobs in between theatre or
Mm.
whatever you can get hold of. Anyway, a friend of mine called Ewan McGregor, and I don't mean the actual
Yeah.
actor
Yeah.
name, even though he is an actor himself. But yeah, he contacted me and he said, Mackenzie, I'm doing this scare attraction. And I said to him, "What? Remind me, what's one of them?" And he said, "Right, think York Dungeons, but more spooky, more interactive, more intense." So I went, "Oh, okay, yeah, right. Where's it at?" And he says, "You know that house down Stonegate? We've rented it out for one weekend only." And basically I ended up doing it there. But whilst I was working there as a performer, I was highly aware of the energy going on around me and the strange goings on of things happening by themselves when they shouldn't be happening, because
Mm.
it is a very haunted building. It had this reputation, it had a very dark atmosphere. And I ended up making friends with the people who worked there afterwards and going back multiple times, and I'm still in touch with some of those people now. Um, anyway, I ended up going on to do more scare attractions because they were great fun in different areas. I worked at Alton Towers. I did end up working for the Dungeons very briefly as well, and just carried on from there. But then in
Mm.
2012, a year later, I got a job as a tour guide because it was advertised in the newspaper, and the rest you now know. But as of a couple of years ago, oh no, last year, sorry, last year feels like 2 years ago. Last year, I thought to myself, right, I love the tour, but I need to live. And I can't work every single night of the year or have nights that I want to do
Mm.
this, plus try and see friends or go do the acting again or anything like that. So I hired a guide, and I did loads of interviews and auditions, and I found Dan. And after a bit of training, Dan has since worked for me. And then I thought, right, this year I'd like another one because I'm going to be moving a little bit away from York soon, and I still want to run the tour, and I'm still going to come back and do some tours myself, but I want to go off and do a bit more acting work again, and maybe create another tour someplace else. But I'll think about that. And so I found Josh.
Liverpool.
Liverpool's got one. It's called Shiverpool.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, yeah, I'll think of
Sorry.
something. Shiverpool, and I'm sure it's got another one apparently, but I don't know.
I think we've
Um,
only. I think Shiverpool are the biggest ones here.
right, yeah, yeah,
I've bumped into them a few times when I've done ghost nights down in Liverpool.
yeah, yeah. All
So
right.
yeah,
Well,
sorry, Shiverpool.
well, we'll see. But anyway, after having hired a few people, but them not working out for one reason or another, I basically stumbled upon Josh. I found Josh back in April. And initially, when I got his CV, it was just going to get discarded completely instantly because he's an accountant.
Oh,
And I go, right, okay, numbers and office.
to
There
be
is
honest with
no,
you, Mackenzie, by looking at his photograph, he does not look like an accountant, does he?
not at all. But it was his cover letter that won me over because he wrote a really funny letter. And I was
Mm.
like, okay, all right, well, he's got character. You know what? I'll give him an audition. And I actually gave him an audition piece. And then he came and met me, and bless him, he'd just gotten over COVID and
Mm.
Bell's palsy,
Oh,
which was a temporary thing. So he met me with his face hanging down on one side, bless him.
oh,
And he says, "This will get better, I promise." And it just seemed like a nice sort of quiet, reserved gentleman when he appeared, and I thought, oh, maybe he's just good at writing. But anyway, he actually did the audition and he changed it slightly because I said to him, do it in your own words, but make sure you get the key points across.
Mm-hmm.
And he did it brilliantly. And I was like, right, okay, I'll give you a trial. We'll train you up. The training took a lot longer than I wanted it to, but the thing is, I knew Josh could do it.
Yeah.
And I took a lot longer than what I would have done with anybody, really. And anyway, Josh has since done some tours for me, and he's done really well. I went and followed him last night because we had a larger group, and I just wanted to see how he was getting on, and he was doing fine.
Brilliant.
So yeah, yeah. He's still got obviously odd little bits to learn and stuff, but no, Josh is getting on very well. And that is it. So Josh's background is accountancy, and that is it. But I wrote
from accountancy to that.
I know. So he does that. Dan still works his other day job as well, and but he has vast experience working in the dungeons and acting and tour guiding and everything. And he's got a very booming voice, and he sounds like, in his own words, he should have been Brian Blessed's son.
Now I get
yeah, very much that sort of voice.
When you look at the pictures on your website, they actually look like brothers. I hope they're not listening to this, but they look like brothers. Yeah.
They've got a similar build, haven't they? Yes.
Yeah. It's just that Dan's got a beard. Josh needs to grow one. They look like twins.
Yeah, and dye his hair black. Yeah.
I couldn't see that on the picture. I've got the website here.
Yeah.
So, could you tell us a little bit about what you do on your tour? You know, how you started. I don't want to give too much away because I want people to come along and enjoy it. What you do on your tour, a little bit about, the stories you tell, or some of the stories you tell. Don't give away the stories though.
No. So basically, we get to our starting point and wait for everyone to come check the tickets, chat, find out where they're from, and just get everybody rounded up basically. And then once everybody's arrived that we're aware of, we then start, and it's just nice introduction. And then we take them around the city and tell to several locations and tell the ghost story and the history. It changes all the time because obviously your audience is different all the time. And obviously we do have to battle with the elements of weather, and there's so many tours in York that we can't always plan it. We try as best as we can, but sometimes we'll encounter other tours in certain areas and you go, okay, need to sort of move away from them slightly and not disturb them, and vice versa. And we do actually know many of the other tour guides in York, so we try and communicate with each other as best we can. But occasionally we just bump in and go, hiya.
Oh, so you're all like respect each other then?
Oh yeah.
I don't mean that. Yeah.
No. We're all. Some of us actually go out for lunch together.
Pass ideas across.
Yeah. Well, no, just sort of say how you're doing and catch up really, and then have a whinge about weather's not going right. But no, there's one or two that don't like us, but I don't think they like anybody. So it's not just us personally.
That's their loss. Yeah, that happens in everything. To be honest with you, and even I do the paranormal. Yeah, because I do the paranormal stuff, Mackenzie, and there's like I don't know what it is, and I think everyone should get on. I think the world's big enough for everybody. There's the world is there's the space for everyone in everything, and you do get that in every kind of job you're in, really. Yeah.
And you can't please everybody, so it's nice to have these different ones about so that there's something for somebody. Our tour won't please every single person. There is one or two out there who will think, what was this? And that is it. But there's plenty out there to go with. But yeah, we go around, we tell the stories and tell a bit of history, and if we know any personal stories, then we tell those as well. Because I've had personal experiences. Dan has since on tour had one or two encounters. Josh is new; he's yet to have any encounters.
That's coming up.
Yeah,
well, that was really good timing, that, because I was just going to ask you what experiences have you had personally, whether it's on a tour or whether it's just as you're walking around York or even in your own house? You know, what experiences have you had?
Strangely, I thought to myself, I wonder what experiences I've had, But when I think about it, I don't want to sound like a mad fanatical person who goes, oh, yes, he goes all the time, because I don't. But at the same time, I think to myself, gosh, I have had quite a lot happen in my life, First of all, I grew up in an old pub near York called the Greyhound. It's based in Rickle, a little village called Rickle. And growing up as a child, it used to feel not quite right, and I was certain there was like shadow figures that would follow me around and stuff. But I couldn't tell you much more about it other than that. And then living in York and working in so many different places, everywhere I've ever worked has got some form of story to tell. And at the National Railway Museum, there used to be it used to be a horrible sensation in the offices where the catering office was. So the staff, sorry, the general public won't know where that is, but it's basically almost underground, if you will. That used to feel quite strange. And around some certain carriages, and the security guards used to tell all kinds of stories about music playing by itself and seeing people in top hats walking about and then disappearing. Wow. Most Haunted did an offshoot show. Actually, I've got the DVD up there as I speak. Excuse me.
Oh, right.
I'm not in it. It's Yvette Fielding, and she did a series with various celebrities, and this is one called Ghost Hunting with the Dingles from Emmerdale.
I remember it. Yeah.
Yeah. But she went to, or they went to, the Railway Museum, but they also went to number 35 Stonegate, where I did my first ever scare attraction and everything else. And I think they got to Temple Newsome as well. But yeah, they found various things at the Railway Museum, and I was like, yeah, that's happened to me.
it gives you a personal confirmation as well that, if somebody else found you, go, yep. Exactly.
Yeah, and then when I've walked around on tour, and I might sneeze, excuse me. Oh,
it's okay. It's all right.
It's gone. It's okay. When I've walked where something happened, I won't go into too much detail, but basically, we saw something. This was many years ago. I only got it from the corner of my eye, but they got a full view of it.
The public seen it as well, did they?
Yeah, on the actual tour, the group, it was like a shadow figure that appeared and disappeared. But I'm not going to say where or anything because that's no. We don't tell it on every single tour because it depends if we can get to that area. But yeah, we talk about it sometimes. And then I used to work at the Castle Museum, and that was the prison, as well as being on site of a castle and stuff. And it's got a lot of horrendous history, and myself and colleagues would all tell stories of seeing people walking by and disappearing, or things in the Victorian street or in the prison cells. And it's that basically, most of my life I've had something somewhere happening in places that I've worked.
All right. I mean, I have done one of the ghost tours of York before the lockdown stuff and that. And I found it fascinating. And the good thing is, to be honest with you, I can't remember who it was, so that's okay. And you get the interactions as well. They were getting us interacting with them as well. Do you do that yourself? Do you get the crowd to interact, or?
So we don't pick anybody out and do things with them because, funny enough, a lot of people don't actually like it in this day and age. They don't like to be picked out sometimes. But I don't mind like pointing to somebody and making a remark about, if they've told me something about where they're staying, then if we get to somewhere and I can link it up historically wise or ghostly wise, and I'll say that's where you're staying, and stuff like that. So it is interactive, and people can ask questions. They can talk to us not during the story, but in between stories and stuff. They can ask us anything they want to know about, the area or the history or how did we find that out. We get asked all kinds of things. So yeah, it's interactive in that way. But otherwise it's traditional storytelling, but with some nice personal touches sometimes as well.
Are the stories a mixture of being true and fictional, if you understand?
So the stories, many of them are told forever, by everybody out of books. But I have spent my entire time looking up the history behind those stories and where have they come from. Some of them we're not entirely sure where they've come from. Some might have been made up. Some are completely true,
Mm,
because of what's happened. We try and tell the true ones as much as possible.
mm,
There's very little on our tour that we tell that hasn't got something truthful about it. And that's what I prefer to tell. I like to give them something that's real as
yeah.
best I can do. And that's why it's very history based as well as ghosts. So it gives you basically a look into the past, a window into how the area was, what it looked like, whatever, how people lived. There's nothing more horrific than knowing how
Mm,
our lives truly were, and making you realize how grateful you should be today, really,
mm,
compared, and then tell them the ghost, and then it's up to the individual what they take
yeah.
away from.
Well, there's two stories I will stick in my mind from your one. You probably know it anyway. Is the Romans,
Yes, that yeah, we
the plumber. Was it the plumber who was down there or something, and the
Harry
Roman
Martin
soldiers went
boys.
through? Yeah,
Yeah.
and the other one, which I still find fascinating, is was it the Black Death? The young girl who was left behind.
Mm-hmm.
The little
Yeah,
girl who was left behind.
yeah.
Yeah.
So the treasurer's house, I'm very inclined to believe that 100%
Mm,
because of what happened afterwards to sort of confirm everything. It'd be very difficult to say that wasn't real.
yeah.
The Plague House one, is uncertain because we only know from what people have said throughout time.
Yeah.
Uh, but the building in question has been altered. So we're always a bit skeptical as to whether it was that
Mm,
window, if it was really this building, and etc. But
mm,
what makes it real is the people that have lived there over the last however many decades have said stories about seeing a little girl in a tiny room where this window is, and people walking past the street and looking at the window and seeing what looks like a little girl asking for help. And that's what makes that
right.
more
Uh,
plausible. But
uh.
the true details of what happened is anybody's guess.
It's like
So
Chinese whisper, isn't it?
that's why there's so many different versions of the story. But either
Uh,
way, the end is the same. A girl
uh,
has died and she haunts
uh.
this house.
That's exactly. We've got one. I used to live in a place called Highton, and there was
Mm.
a place there. I won't say whereabouts it is. And it was known that there was a little girl's face was coming to the window. It was at the window. Nobody
Yeah,
knows the story or anything like that. But the people who own the house had the
yeah.
window painted up. They had it completely blocked. The window's still there, but they painted it because they were fed up with people standing and looking up at the window, waiting to see this ghost. Yeah. So it's
I'd have lauded
uh,
all over that. I'd have been like, yes, into my house.
oh
Look
yeah,
at that
yeah.
window.
But you would, wouldn't you? I'd say, well,
Yeah,
if you want to hire the house for a ghost, don't you can do jump on it while you can.
he looked out there, didn't he, this
You
guy?
did,
But
yeah.
some people really are anti-ghost. I mean, I remember
Mm,
one time, oh, years ago, when I was doing my tour, and there was a guy on the tour, they've booked and paid to come on a ghost walk, obviously for entertainment. And he was there as we were walking along going, you do know ghosts aren't real, don't you? I said, that's like saying to a priest, God isn't real. You
yeah.
know,
Mm.
why don't you just keep that
What?
opinion to
Yeah.
yourself? If
Why are
you want
you
to be a
there?
skeptic, that's absolutely fine.
Uh,
But don't try and convince me that my job is
no.
garbage.
The wrong time, wrong place. Yeah.
What a thing to say. But yeah, oh, we get lots of skeptics who have
Mm,
just come for the entertainment value, and that's
mm,
fine. But there is people out there who really are disgruntled by the idea of ghosts existing, and they don't want their house to be subject to it and all that. And I
mm.
think, well, just enjoy it. Just enjoy the story. Everything has a
Yeah,
story, before,
it's,
whether you believe it or not.
it's like myths and legends, isn't it? They're there, the stories. You know, either enjoy them or don't listen to them at all. It's one of them. But I think without the tours, without your ghost tours and the history in York, it would be a completely different place. It's the likes of
It would,
yourselves who
yeah,
keep it alive and keep the history alive. I've learned from
yeah,
it. I mean, I've been to York a few times. I've been on a couple of tours, and I've learned
mm,
from that. Obviously, I said to you then, two things that stuck in my head was the Romans and the young girl. So if
yeah, yeah,
every person takes something away from that, and when we
exactly.
go back, I mean, we definitely want to come back. And we want to come on one of your tours, and we'll take
Yeah,
something from that. I mean, to us, that would be fantastic because although I'm a paranormal investigator and Jonathan and Marie, who are with me, that we're all paranormal investigators, we have our own little team. We still learn every single day. We learn all the
yeah,
time.
yeah.
I mean, there's a person up in York who does. I don't think he does the ghost walks. I think he just over the COVID time, the same as you. He was telling stories, but he was just standing there and telling stories,
Mm,
and he was brilliant. But then
mm,
he just went off the radar. He just disappeared from YouTube,
yeah.
and his stories were good. And then I went, he's gone, and he was like
Oh,
a little bit of an interesting person. But
mm.
thankfully, you've turned off, so we can follow you now as well.
Thank
So,
you.
apart from doing the ghost tours and everything else, do you go on ghost hunts yourself, or are you into the
Yeah.
paranormal? Yeah.
Well, yeah, I do like. I am interested in the paranormal, and I actually enjoy going to ghost walks. Before I
Mm.
did my own, anything ghosty, I was straight in there. I like that
Yeah.
sort of thing. But bizarrely enough, I like going to scare attractions if I know it's a scare attraction and that's what's going to happen.
Mm.
But on the other side of the coin, if it's a museum of horror, I want to be able to enjoy the museum by reading stuff without the worry of somebody jumping out at me. I know it
Oh,
sounds bad because
yeah.
that's been my job, but and I'll go on a ghost walk, but sometimes I have to research and see if they're going to have some silly person jumping out of the background at some point because again, I like to listen to the story,
Mm.
and if something's going to happen or rather it does happen rather than it being an actor. But if it's meant to be that sort of thing, then fine, I can
Yeah.
look out. But
Mm.
I do like to go to them. I went to a really good one in Lincoln recently.
Right. Yeah.
Lincoln Ghost Walk, yeah. A chap called Dan. There's so many Dans.
Yeah.
He was doing a tour and it was lovely. Bless him, he'd watched my lives during lockdown and he says, I'll be honest, when I first saw you, I was a bit starstruck. Oh, bless you, thank you. I'd like to go on the Whitby Ghost Walk, and it's only an hour and
Oh,
a half away from me, but
yeah.
I haven't had a chance to in all the time that I've been doing walks because either they've not been running when I've been available or I've been working, which is another reason why I got a couple of guides because I was like, I want to go out and do these
Go
things.
and
These look
experience it.
fun.
Yeah.
And I went to the Edinburgh no, I did the Edinburgh Dungeons, but I went to the Edinburgh Vault tours a
Mm.
couple of years ago. They were really good.
I'm not
Uh,
doing that yet.
and yeah, and I'd like to go to the ones at Bath because apparently there's a couple in Bath.
Mm.
I'd like to do
Mm.
Shiverpool.
Yeah.
And I'd like to do. I know I follow quite a few ghost walks who follow me as
Mm.
well. I'd love to go on all of their walks, but
Yeah.
it's just finding the time
Yeah.
and if they're operating, obviously.
Well, Liverpool, we do a cemetery down in Liverpool called St James's Cemetery. If you ever get the chance to go there, it's
Mm,
fantastic. It's a parks and gardens now. It's not actually a
right.
graveyard anymore, and
Okay.
Anyone can go in there, and it's safe because they have cameras and
Yeah.
security at the top.
Yeah.
And Shiverpool, who I think are really good. Actually, Jonathan, who usually here with me, he used to work for Shiverpool,
All right.
and
Okay.
they looked really good. We've bumped into them a few times when we've been down there. We've been doing a ghost hunt or a radio or a podcast, and we bumped into them. And
All right.
well, we like interact and turn around, and say, "Oh, Shiverpool have just arrived now," and they'll go past and give us a card. And we were
Yeah.
doing
Yeah. Yeah.
we were filming for somebody in America. They wanted to do a live investigation, and they were putting it over on in America. And we were filming, and we were walking down through this tunnel. If you ever look at St. James's Cemetery, and I'm walking down, I'm doing the talk and everything else, and Shiverpool, one of the characters, was hiding behind the wall.
Okay,
and I nearly died 1,000 deaths because I didn't see him there. And I'm talking into the thing and talking to him, and turn around, Jesus, did I jump? And he was going like that, but he was going shh, because obviously he didn't want to be given away. So I had to live that like panic and fear and everything else, and carry on walking around and say nothing that he was there. I couldn't even scream out. So just like that, went around the corner, going, oh my God, you know.
Yeah.
But it was great because there was that interaction, and they look really entertaining. We bumped into them a few times, and they do. So I'd recommend them to go on them there, Mackenzie. I certainly would, yeah.
No, I'd love to go. Because I don't go to steal ideas or anything like that. You know, you get some that might think, why are they coming? But I go because I enjoy it. You know, I go on ghost hunts. I like to do because I like the paranormal. So
and it's out of your area as well. You're hearing the stories from like Liverpool, as you said, Whitby. Whereas we're coming up to York and listening to the stories of York. It's great that they're all connected in one way or another, aren't they? It's like a talking it's like a talking book, really, but you live in it. If that sounds all right.
There was something that odd happened today. Actually, I'll quickly tell you this one. So we talked. I started telling again the story of the bar guest, which is a wolf-like dog. But and the bar guest is said to haunt pretty much all of England, but we call him the bar guest here in York and Yorkshire and everything else. And he's got big red eyes. He's described to be huge, like a wolf-like beast, or things like that. And if you see him, it's a bad omen. You or someone will die. And I know a couple of people who have claimed to have seen this beast and had things happen.
Oh, right.
Anyway, bless them. But anyway, when I was telling the stories on the tour, without fail, somewhere along the tour, a black dog would turn up, whether small or big or whatever, and I think, oh, okay. But anyway, one day I thought to myself, you know what? It's uncanny how we always see a black dog, and usually a black Labrador or something like that. I thought, but it's never the same owner. It's not somebody that lives around there that's local. And I thought, you know what? One day this might not be a good idea. And I remember telling the story, and then I came out of this Snickleway onto the Shambles, and I saw this huge Newfoundland black dog, but it had one red eye. Instead of one in and one out kind of thing. And I thought, well, bless it, it's obviously got something wrong with it. But that made me jump out of my skin. And I thought, right, I'm going to stop telling this story because it's really not quite right. Anyway, recently I've started telling the story again, but I've not seen a black dog the last 3 times of me doing the tour or talk somewhere. So today it was my cat's booster day at the vet, and I took him in, and usually it's all really well planned out because it's a really small vet. It's not got a very big waiting room or anything. It's in York, of course it's small. Anyway, I went in, and he's there feeling very sorry for himself, and I plonked him on the table, and I looked behind me, and there was a lady who had a black Labrador, and I was like, oh, hello, And then another lady turned up with another black Labrador and sat down in the corner. And then another lady turned up with a black Labrador. And then they came in and said, should we take this cat into the back just so he's not nervous? I went, yeah, sure. And as I was stood, there was 3 black Labradors all staring at me, panting away. And I thought to myself, at that moment, the penny dropped, and I went, black dog. 3 of them.
The funny thing is, you just turned around and you said,
all belonging to different people. What's the chances? And I told that story last night.
They were all there for you, Mackenzie, because the last 3 tours, you didn't talk about them.
Yeah.
3 tours, 3 Labradors.
Yeah, that's exactly what I thought. 3 tours, missed out. 3 Labradors. Hello.
They were all upset because you hadn't mentioned them in the
One,
tour. Yeah.
one was crying his eyes out, so I gave him a tickle.
Oh.
So it was okay.
So going back to your tours and everything else, and obviously because about 5 minutes left, and I just wanted people to know how they can get in touch with you, where you're based or what time. I think it's around 6:30 you start your tours,
Usually do a
and
6:30.
your
Yeah.
website and anything like that. That would be great, so people can get in touch with you. I'll
Yeah.
put it on the screen as well.
Okay. So the tour is called Shadows of York, and if you want to find us, just go to the website, which you can type in Shadows of York, or you can type in www.shadowsofyork.co.uk. You can also find us via the same name in TikTok, Facebook, Instagram. On Facebook, you can see the lives in the videos section. You'll see some silly personal videos when I've been at home and stuff as well. But if you scroll down, you get to the original talks during lockdown. But that's how you can find us. We meet at a church called Saint Michael le Belfry, and it's right next to the Minster and the Guy Fawkes Inn pub. So at the front doors, in the big open space, and you'll see either myself, Josh, or Dan. It's mostly going to be those 2 boys than me for a little while whilst I'm getting moved and sorted. And we will all look after you, whoever it is that's doing the tour for you that night. Usually at 6:30. Please arrive before. During the last week of Halloween, we will be doing, sorry, the last week of October, sorry, we'll be doing one at 6:30 and one at 8:15. It sounds like an odd time, but it's just so we can avoid the other tours.
No, that's fair, yeah. And how long do your tours go on for, Mackenzie?
About 90 minutes.
Wow.
It's a mixture of history and ghost stories.
Mm-hmm.
So there's something for everybody. We don't recommend it for under 8s. Not because it's super duper scary, but some children are easily distressed by 1 or 2 stories, or something gets in their head, or alternatively, some kids don't have the attention span and they get bored, because it is quite an in-depth, informative tour. And yes, we just don't recommend it for young children, but yes, young children can come if they want to come. That's not an issue as well. It is wheelchair friendly, and yes, you can bring your dog,
As
provided
long
you
as they're
don't
not
bark.
blacked out.
Yeah, they're not black. Well, no, they can, but as long as they haven't got red eyes, no red
Yeah.
eyes.
So if that woman who with the dog with the red eye, just keep away there.
Yeah, but black labs are allowed on the tour. Yes, absolutely.
And is there any days you don't do the tours, or you're 7 days a week?
We usually do it Wednesday to Saturday, but during the school holidays and during half term, we'll try and do 7 days. But all that information is on the website. I am due to update the ticketing system for November, Christmas time soon. And we also do.
I've got to say, as I spoke to you before we came on, is anybody who visits the Shadow of York, am I right?
Shadows of York.
Shadows of York. I don't know why I said that. Anybody who visits the website, you'll find it so easy to get around, and you'll meet both Dan, Mackenzie, and Josh. I'm reading it in order on the screen here. You'll get to know them. They're on there as well. The details, if you want to know the times and everything, they're all on the front page, which is fantastic. So you don't have to go searching through anything, but I recommend you do go searching through it because it's a really interesting site, simple to get around, and that's what I like. It's very informative. I've got it up on me in case I needed any information, to be honest with you, Mackenzie.
I like it easy. I actually built the website myself.
Well, it's brilliant. You've got your home, tickets, contact, FAQs, and your guide. So simple to use as well. So simple to use. But what I've got to say, Mackenzie, is I really appreciate you taking the time to come along and talk to us. It's been fantastic to talk to you. We've got to get you on again, because I'm sure Jonathan, I keep pointing to Jonathan, he's not even here.
He's in spirit.
He's in spirit, yeah. He's always here. It's only today that he couldn't make it, which is a shame, really. I'll be seeing him tonight anyway. I'll pull him straight.
Yeah.
But, we'd love to get you to come on again with both Dan and Josh. That would be fantastic to have all three of you and speak to you all different ways, because sadly they couldn't make it tonight. But tonight, it's today, isn't it? But I've had a fantastic time talking to you, and to be honest with you, I could talk to you for another hour, but that would be cruel to you.
Yeah, I've got to get all sorted out now with the move.
But we'll definitely have to definitely keep in touch with you, and when we come up, we will definitely come on the tour with you.
Oh yes, please do.
That would be fantastic. Yeah, no, we don't expect it for free. We would pay because that's the way it is, and just enjoy it like everybody else. And if anybody else is listening to this, and I hope you are, get up to York, find Mackenzie, find Shadows of York, and get on their tour with them, because I've been watching the DVDs. I'm getting old now. I've been watching the TikToks and everything, and I highly recommend them. Go and have a watch them, and then get up there and have a look at them.
Follow us on TikTok. Yeah.
Definitely follow them. Yeah. That's how I found them. Just scanning through, I found them, thought they were brilliant, and I'm addicted to it now as well. So Mackenzie, thank you so much for coming on. I really do appreciate you taking the time, especially on a Friday, especially when you're working as well. I do appreciate it.
No, thank you. That's wonderful. Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
You're welcome, and I'm looking forward to the next time you're on as well. But Mackenzie, thank you again for joining us here on Access Paranormal. Really do appreciate it, and we'll see you again soon. Thank you.
Hopefully so. All right. Thank you very much. Thank you.
So that was the interview I did with Mackenzie Crompton.
Yeah.
Go on.
From York.
Yeah. Shadows of York.
York.
They do the tours, as you heard from that anyway.
Yeah.
She was really good. Very interesting. You weren't here. You're only in the studio.
No, I was busy, wasn't I?
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Well, it's the kids' holidays, and so you've got no choice. So it's the same with Marie. Marie wasn't here either. Yeah. So it's just me on my own. Again. While you two all gallivant about, I am stuck on my own.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
But she was good. She was really, really good. I was grateful for her to come on.
Yeah.
I tried for a couple of weeks to get her, but as you know, a few weeks ago when I was organising it, I went on my own little travels, didn't I?
I know you did, yeah. Again.
Down the stairs. I fell down the stairs, didn't I? So that didn't help the situation. So I had to tell her we had to delay it. Yeah.
You're a habit of trips and bangs, haven't you?
Yeah, well, different trips than what you's go on, isn't it? But yeah, I've been away as well, haven't I? Me and Marie went away. We went up to Anglesey.
Yeah.
Weighed up a few places.
Yeah.
So that should be good.
Yeah, we'll be going up there soon.
We will.
Say no more.
Yeah, so keep a listen out for that as well.
Yeah.
So while you've been doing all your holidays and everything else, Jonathan, I've been doing all the editing and the working and everything else. Have you got any excuses for not doing anything? No. But we've got some good stuff coming up. We have got some. We can't say what, because it's nice to have secrets, isn't it?
It is.
And that there's a few really good ones coming up.
There is.
And have you watched much on YouTube?
Yeah. I was watching a paranormal show on BBC. Yeah, I've not seen that yet. The name escapes me, but I'll find it.
You're not prepared, are you?
With the power of being in a studio and having a mobile phone.
That's the good thing, isn't it? Technology is great, isn't it?
So, but it was really, really good.
And you don't know what its name is. Well, there's one on Netflix I want to watch, and it's called the Borley Rectory.
Oh yeah.
I keep seeing the highlights of it, or the trailers as you call them.
Yeah.
I keep watching it and I keep thinking I'm going to watch that, and I still haven't watched it. But it's been made in black and white as well.
Oh right. Okay.
And it looks unusual, so yeah.
It's like a true story
about Borley Rectory.
Right. Okay.
And I'm not even looking on my phone for it.
Yeah.
It's just in my head. So go on, have you found it?
Yeah, found it.
Go on then.
So it's Paranormal, The Girl, The Ghost, and The Gravestone. So I
Right.
told you a little bit about it, didn't I?
It's based in Wales.
Based in Wales, so it's on once Britain's most haunted house.
Right.
Okay.
So I will watch that.
And it's a remote Welsh farm.
Right, I'll watch that. Well, it's funny,
Really,
isn't it? 'Cause-
really worth watching.
Oops, that was me moving the chair. Sorry.
Really worth watching.
Mm.
Got to say. Pennyford Farm.
Not heard of that.
Well, I think that's how you say.
No, I'll have to watch it though.
Pennyford Farm, anyway.
Right. That's a must then, isn't it?
Really good. I'm not gonna. I'm not. And I know I told you a little bit about it earlier on. But I'm not gonna tell. I'm not gonna tell the listeners anything.
No, go on the BBC iPlayer.
BBC iPlayer. It's 4 episodes. You can watch it all at once. Well worth a watch.
And when you watch that, get onto Netflix and watch The Borley Rectory.
The Borley Rectory.
Yeah, but on YouTube, I've been watching. It's. Do you remember the Paranormies when we brought the Paranormies onto the show over a year ago now? Yeah, they're doing well. They've started. They've actually got their own TV show.
Yeah, TV series.
So they've gone from 5 subscribers when we knew them, to like international, which is great, isn't it?
Really good.
So yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
They don't do much in Canada with Paranormal, do they? So I suppose they had a bit of an advantage there. Yeah.
Well, do you know what? While we're doing this, it's thunder and lightning.
Well, I know. It has been on all night.
I know. But listen to it, you can hear it. You can hear the rumbles, and we've just had lots of flashes.
I know.
So, but you've got to go home.
I know, but try and touch your own.
There's you sitting in our house, and we're just like comfy, warm, be able to watch telly while you're dodging the lightning.
I've got to watch my language now because we're on the radio.
So if Jonathan's on next week, he's probably frazzled somewhere.
Yeah. Or if I'm not on, you know what happened.
Well, tell you the story now, because we were just saying we went away.
Yeah.
And we went to a place called Penmon Priory. Me, Marie,
I know.
and my nephew Chris.
Yeah.
And you know what I'm like for taking photographs? You're always moaning about it. But then my photos are always used in something, so I get the benefits of it anyway.
That's it.
That's what you mean, it's it. So anyway, I was taking these photographs of the church, the church what's derelict. Oh, the Priory, isn't it? It's a Priory what's derelict. Yeah. It's a fantastic place if you've not been. As I was taking the picture, I was being like a bit cocky, doing a 3-second one, so we get the atmospherics, the clouds being a bit what's name and everything else. And something went across the screen. It literally walked across. I'm saying walked across the screen. It just glided across.
Yeah.
And I couldn't work out what it was.
Okay.
And I said to Marie, I've just seen something go across the screen. And probably similar size to me, same height as me and that. As I was watching it, it just went past, disappeared. I said to Marie, I've just seen something through the screen. And Marie seen the same thing.
Through the screen or with her own eyes?
No, Marie was seeing it with her own eyes. But my nephew Chris didn't see it. And we tried to debunk it by thinking it was dust.
Yeah.
With it being a bit windy, it was dust. But we tried to debunk it for about 20 minutes, and there was no way it was dust because of the way it moved and everything else. It was a straight line. It was like a straight line.
I wouldn't have said that it would be any sort of dust or insects or anything like that.
No, definitely.
If Marie's seen it with her own eyes, and you've seen it through the lens, it's two totally different perspectives there, but you've both seen it
at the same time. And the funny thing is if I'd have been recording, if I'd have videoed it, I might have captured what it was.
Probably would have.
But I had the 3-second lapse on, so I could capture a bit more light and like the effects I like doing. And I missed it. Completely missed it. But I went over to where it was and walked. I thought, I'll see where it goes. And I've been there a few times to Penmont Priory. And what I didn't know is I've never been to the graveyard part. I've had one walk around the graveyard, tell a lie.
Yeah.
But I've never took much notice of it. I've always gone to the bird place, you know, the where the pigeons are,
Yeah.
or around to St. Cyrian's Well.
Yeah.
But I've never done that. And when I walked, that went straight in towards the wall and disappeared. When I got to where it disappeared, there's a building on the other side of it.
All right.
But you can't really see the building until you look properly, because it's covered in what can you call it? Nettles, brambles, or
undergrowth.
it's just covered completely. So it just looks like it's overgrown there. It doesn't look like there's a building there. It just looks overgrown, and there it was. But when I looked even closer, it looked like the wall had an entrance there at one time.
Oh, right.
So, and that's where it went. It went across like that. So, it was a bit of a mind blower, that.
So did it go in the entrance?
Who knows? It's one of them. We tried everything to debunk it. Just couldn't debunk it, no. Great experience. We'll be going back there to do a show for here and the podcast as well.
Yeah.
So, we'll see what happens from there.
Sounds really good.
I did think about it a few times when I was on holiday as well.
I bet you did.
Well, you do, don't you? Know, because it's
do.
one of them, isn't it? You know, did that really happen to me?
I know.
And they always say, don't they? They always expect the unexpected when you're not expecting it.
Do you know, whenever I go out now, I'm always looking for buildings, like abandoned or whatever, or any sort of big old building. Go.
I know.
It'd be great to do paranormal, invest in there.
And it makes you wonder, doesn't it, how many other people, paranormal or urban explorers, go out and as they're driving back, go, I wonder if that's all right. I wonder if you can go in there. It's sad. Well, it's not sad. It's an active mind. It's an active mind. No, I do it. You know, I was on holiday. I was on holiday for a few days. I did it.
I'm surprised she didn't take your recorder with you.
I didn't. But before we go to the end of the show, I said to Marie, we don't do any paranormal things at all this weekend, these 4 days. We don't do nothing at all. What did I find in the bag? A cat ball. One cat ball she put in the bag. And I was going, unbelievable. Unbelievable. Didn't get used anyway.
You?
No, it wasn't me. Because it was nice to have that shut down for a little bit.
Yeah, just a
yeah. And to think we were going to go out and filming tonight, and it's absolutely bouncing down out there.
I've never seen it so bad with rain.
No, nor have I. But you know what?
It's terrible.
It's the UK. It's what happens.
Yeah, it's our summer.
Don't go there. Don't go there. But we are getting out and about more.
Yeah, we certainly are.
And we've had a great night tonight with Mackenzie.
Yeah.
Well, I did. I had a great time talking to her. You were on your out and about, so
yeah.
You know, so
shopping.
Yeah. So before we go, I'd like to say a huge thank you to Mackenzie Crompton of Shadows of York. If you get the chance, get over there, go and enjoy a walkabout on that, and go and listen to her stories. I'm certainly going to do it when we get up there.
Yeah,
it's a must for us. But Jonathan, it's that time. We've got to go.
Where does it go?
I do not know, but we've got to say good night. So from Jonathan,
good night,
and from Jamie, and from Access Paranormal, we'll see you all again next week. Good night.